What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. I've been really busy, but I'm trying to get back into YouTube and World of Tanks and things. This video is a little bit different. I haven't been able to give you guys like content of me playing the game because I just need to get better at it so that I can make the same videos that I used to make. But instead, I have a video here where I am talking to a player that still knows how to play the game very well, and this is a video about comp. So for those of you that wanted to have a video about comp playing and tournaments and stuff like that, this is perfect for you. And I'll have some gameplay in the background where we aren't looking at the strat sketch where that's not an important part. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think. WhiskyTango is a comp player that has a profound understanding of the game. He's a solid teammate and a great leader, someone that you can always rely on to have your back and make the right move. In our seasons together, he's always stepped up when needed and is the most consistent heavy tank player that I've had the pleasure of playing with. Today I've invited him to share some of his map knowledge with everyone and explain things he thinks about while making a strat. So, starting off, Whiskey, how do you use the meta, and what are your thoughts on using non-meta tanks? Because I know a lot of people in like top 16 like to throw in tank destroyers that are not particularly meta or other tanks like that.
Um, by playing like non-meta tanks, I feel like you're kind of playing handicapped, like before the battle even begins, to be honest. Because tanks like the MLE, SCON, Twin 5B, they all have like characteristics that counter each other. Like reactive essentially counters everything. You can push with it, you can receive pushes, and stuff like Twin 5B is essentially created to counter like tanks like MLEs. So when you're playing like a tank destroyer that doesn't have reactive, like say a Hori, and it doesn't have Hesh, you're doing less damage basically. Like so if you have a 640 alpha gun, if you're shooting the Emily with reactive, you're doing like close to 460, 450 around there. So and you have less HP, so it's harder to push, it's harder to receive pushes. It's just not a good um what do you call it?
No,
It's not a
just
good
not a good
play in
move.
my yeah.
Yeah, so I know that some people are going to question, well, I have this strat where this particular tank sitting in this particular position works extremely well. What do you have to say about that?
Comp is like very like rotational. Like you'll put like a tank at a certain position, but he's that's only his starting position. You're expected to rotate like around the map, especially if you don't have like cap advantage. Like say you're taking A side, right? You could put like a TD up here to overlook B. That's a pretty good position, maybe.
Hmm.
But if they get base cap advantage, like obviously you're gonna have to make a play like through their spawn and push C, or you're gonna have to put like heavy tanks in B, try and grab cap advantage. So like comp is very like rotational. So making a strat just on one certain position isn't really a good idea generally.
You don't have any room for error if things don't go exactly according to plan, is basically what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar to that. So moving on to some of the basics, really. What is the purpose of like a strat that you make? Like, give me some goals and like requirements that you need in a strat for it to be good. And you can throw one up real quick as examples. Like, just it doesn't have to be full seven tanks, but like
Uh,
something because I know that there are requirements because you can't just have everybody in the spawn, right? So just give us an example.
yeah, I think like rule number one when making a strat is you want to play for base cap advantage. It's a lot easier holding than it is pushing. So like when I'm making a strat, um, on south side of Dynasty, it's I normally recommend you play town just because the spawns it's quite easier. And then when you're playing north, I like to go seaside. So something I run from my team is just a YOLO strat. I'll put like Emily, and then maybe like a 2 and 5 Bs like back here. So like the goal of this strat is you're essentially killing anything in corner with these three tanks. These two tanks, like they're playing for like the base to capture it. But if they have tanks here, you can always just go up the staircase. And the goal is just to kill everything in this area. And then you have VK-72s to cover anything coming from here and here. But like overall, you always want to play for base cap advantage because the team that's pushing into you always has the disadvantage because to cover distance and actually like grab the base or something or try and kill you, right? They have to cover distance, and when they're covering distance, they're gonna get bled out.
Right. So when you make this strat, a lot of people that I've seen make, again, top 16 strats, they don't really commit to one side of the map, and they'll have like maybe a couple tanks by the cap and holding this area back here, and then maybe like a tank over here. I guess it's for the attempt at like a map control sort of strat, but what do you think about that versus your full commit on one side?
Yeah, I like generally speaking, I always want to play like two sectors of the map that are pretty close. So like you kind of like create a barrier here. Like this is like one sector of the map, this is another sector of the map. At most, you want to play like two sectors. If you're playing three, like say you have here, like say you have tanks over here, like you have one tank here, and then you're taking these tanks away, right? And you put like MLE. Like sure you have like kind of like some C presence, but if they send 7 tanks, these 2 tanks are just dead because these tanks right here, they're not going to be able to rotate back. And say they're playing for A, you just lost 2 tanks. If they're on A side, these guys they have to drive all the way through to get to the fight. So it's better just to like send your tanks to like one general area, and play like united rather than kind of splitting up because they'll just YOLO you and you're dead and there's nothing you can do about it really.
Yeah, I think that that's a really important concept for people to understand when they're trying to make strats, because I see like this exact kind of setup a lot, and as you said, it's completely countered no matter which direction the enemy decides to go. It's completely countered by if they only play like one half of the map. They send all 7 of their tanks through here and here. Now you just handicap yourself with these guys, and they're not going to get through in time. If they send all 7 tanks to here, these guys aren't going to be able to run in time. So you basically just, doesn't matter what you do, you're handicapping yourself by not committing to one side.
Yeah, exactly.
But that kind of leads us into like pushing versus holding lineups. This is clearly your original thing that you put down was more of a pushing strat. What do you think of
Yeah.
holding lineups, and do you want to just go over the advantages and disadvantages of both? And then you can also after that like touch on mid game, because I'm making another video and I was talking about in like the mid game situation where say you're up on cap, you want to be more condensed and holding versus when you're down on cap and you want to be like poking around a little bit and trying to find a place to push, and you can assume that the enemy is more condensed. So like the kind of flow of the battle that way too.
Yeah. So like I said, you always want to play for base cap advantage. Most teams, like if they're playing north, they're always most likely they're always going to go C, and from south you're always going to play A normally. If they do go A, you just brawl it out. But like when you're holding, so say like they go C, right? I normally have like a tank right here. You can spot into their spawn from here, right? I'd have like 2 tanks like floating like right here. That gives you eyes on B. And then I'd send like some MLEs or something over here to spot here. So you always want to have like eyes on every like their spawn, your spawn, be anywhere they can push you, you want to have eyes on them. And when you're pushing, like on Dynasty, this is a very like rotational based map. Like say you're playing for C, right? I'd always try and send my tanks to deep spawn. It's pushing for your spawn on Dynasty is a lot easier normally than going through here into their spawn. So I'd send 4 tanks in their spawn, 2 tanks like on B. They drive through B. These guys are supposed to die, by the way. They're not trying to cap B. They're just trying to distract the enemy. So they're all looking at these guys. These tanks will jump in and they can go around or they can either go here. And when these guys are distracted, these guys obviously die, but It's a good sacrifice because these MLEs in our spawn can just push out. And then I'll normally have like one tank like right here by himself. And when the distraction's happening, this guy just comes in and has side shots.
All right, cool. Let me check my thing, make sure it's still going. All right. So then the next question I had was basically I wanted to ask about the roles of each class, but I didn't want to like just straight up say what is the role of a tank destroyer, what is the role of a heavy tank. So I kind of worded it like how do you accomplish map control? Like what tanks do you use as anchors? Which tanks do you use to take a flank? Stuff like that. So like um, which tank classes are good at being used as anchors? What specific tanks do you like to use as that? And then if you need to take a flank, what kind of tank do you want to have there? Class, specific tank, whatever you want to say. I see you just
Um,
made Winter Melon.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna go to Wintermelon because Dynasty, like, you can play 7 heavies on Dynasty and you can get
Yeah,
away with it
not a
because it's a
great
very
question for that
small,
map.
yeah, it's a very small map. And most of the time you're just brawling, so you'll see like a lot of super heavies and whatnot.
Hmm.
But like on a map like Wintermell, you have like a lot more freedom. I think the best like flanker is the T100. Just because of the camo, like it's you can get really close to people and they still won't be able to see you. And it has AP premium, which is like super nice tracer shells. Another good flanker, like if you want something that can take a beating and has reactive, I would suggest like 50 Ms. 50 Ms have mobility, armor, DPM. The pen isn't bad. They're kind of like the best medium in the game right now. As far as like anchoring, like something like say I'm playing like an A strat, I'll normally just like send an MLE to A. This helps with the 50 Ms because it can tank while the 50 Ms farm. Um, I'll normally play like an anchor, like a tank. Maybe I might send a tank like right here. It's always good to have like control of your balcony. If they're playing C, this guy he can just rotate out. He can just back up and go to church, and he's safe. And then you also have like role player tanks, I guess, like a S-Conk. It's not as durable as a MLE, and you can't push as well with it, but it has hash and better DPM, so you got to keep that in mind.
All right, cool. So, last thing, say it's like 1 hour before a tournament, and you see like the maps that you're gonna play. One of those maps is a map that you don't have a very good strat for because your team's consistently losing. Pretend that we're in that situation right now, and just talk me through how you're gonna make that strat. And you can use a map
It's,
that you actually don't like if you want, or you can use a map that you do like and just explain it.
okay. I'll go to desert because my team is terrible in desert. Um, when making a strat for like desert sands, it's important that you get playing control. Like
So
if you
identify like the key feature, the map on the side that you want to go that you need to have control of.
okay, yeah. So when you're playing desert sands, like town, you can play town, but like generally speaking, it's better to play A because you get superior positions. Also, when you play A, you have mediums. Mediums can cap A faster than you can cap C, and you cannot cap B. Like it's if you have tanks like set up here, here, and maybe tanks on like rails and stuff just to guard here and here, they cannot cap B because these tanks are just going to farm them out. So when making a strat, you just want to spam mediums, honestly. Like 550 Ms or 450 Ms can get the job done most of the time. And then you'll play like this is like a strat I would actually do for my team. You send an MLE by himself, like under bridge, and then you can play like a chieftain or a 2 and 5B, like it's personal preference. I'd play like one right here. And the goal of the strat is you take plane control, this guy, you can shoot like anything back here if they're playing passive. This position is very strong. You need to have a tank here at all times if you're playing A side. These 50Ms just bleed anything out here. If they have a tank, like, I don't know, say like you bleed them out, right? And they have like a tank here, and then maybe two tanks here. If you're winning this gunfight, these 50Ms, they can push, and then you just crossfire this guy out. Because this guy, he is free. If these guys push up to like this ridge, you just crossfire this guy out. But yeah, this is basically a strat I would use for my team. For some reason, we struggle on it. We tried using heavies. It doesn't work as well. If you're playing this side of the map, you just want to spam mediums. Really, that's the meta right now
Yeah.
for this map.
So in general, what you did is you determined a side of the map that you want to go because this map has a clear advantage, like you discussed on A side. Then you
Yeah,
determined like a key feature that you need to have control of to win that side of the map. And then you worked out like different angles and how to push. You
yeah,
understand that you need this position as much as the enemy wants this position, and you understand how to stop this guy from dying and what you need to do to push up here to kill this guy, and then you work from there. So, would you say that that's essentially what you did?
yeah, exactly. Um, you always want to focus this guy out first, just because he's free normally. If you're winning this gunfight, just pull up here, crossfire this guy out, and then keep moving forward.
Alright guys, thanks for watching to the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope this helped people that were specifically asking for comp. Here you go, here's your comp content. Everybody else that probably wasn't expecting this because I've made the same type of video the entire time I've had a channel, let me know if you like this or if you didn't like this, because I know a lot of people that play comp. I have for a while myself, not much anymore, but I have a couple people that I could talk to make the same style video about different aspects of tournaments in World of Tanks Blitz. But yeah, thanks for watching and hope you guys have a great day.